Tuve la suerte esta semana de entrevistarlo a Dick Morris, que asesoró en el pasado a De la Rúa, lo ayudó a ganar, a Aníbal Ibarra, después se pasó al bando contrario, lo asesoró a Macri, se peleó con Macri. Ahora vamos a escuchar por qué, según dice él, que se peleó con Macri. También podés leerlo en una columna que escribí en Infobae. El consultor norteamericano de Espert quiere romper la polarización con el voto oculto de los millennials. Dice que tiene ahí, descubrió un voto que nadie veía, igual que con el caso de Trump y con el Brexit. Bueno, veremos. Fíjate qué es lo que opinaba de si Mauricio Macri iba a poder llegar a ser presidente.
And would you have imagined back then in 2003 that Mauricio Macri would become president?
Yes. It was not hard to imagine that a super rich person who's very ambitious and willing to follow advice would eventually be president. Yeah.
And was he a good client? I mean, not in the means if how much he pays, but how much he listens to the advice.
Yes, he listened a lot. Although we broke apart over one issue. He had worked with him through the primary and then the runoff, the ballotage. And I told him he has to say that my father has been corrupt and I'm sorry for that, and I promise to be much more honest and not to avoid those problems. And get out the door.
But that is what he did when his father died.
I know.
And is José Luis Espert a good client?
Yes, he's wonderful. First, he's brilliant. He's so smart. And he really understands economics. He understands what's going on. And he understands something that Lopez Murphy did, De La Rua never did. That unless you change the basic system, nothing's going to work. Lopez Murphy once told me, because when you sue, judges always rule against the person that's owed the money. Nobody issues credit cards in Buenos Aires because you'll never collect the money. Because there are no credit cards, everybody pays cash. Because they pay cash, there's no tax revenues, there's no VAT collected. Because there's no VAT collected, the schools aren't good. And because the schools aren't good, Argentina can't compete globally. An incredible understanding of this. And I think that José Luis really understands that at a very important level.
Is he going to win the election, do you think?
I think he has a path to victory, a window of opportunity. I can't say it's sitting right here in his lap, but there's a way he can win because of two new developments. One, of course, is social media. He has a real base among young people. When you take a poll and you ask voters between the ages of 16 and 25, who are they going to vote for? José Luis comes in second, very close to Kirchner, way ahead of Macri, way ahead of Lavagna. I think José Luis gets 15% of the vote of young people, very young. Now millennials. Now when you tell people older, he's at 3 or 4%. But among young people, because of his appearance on television, he really has a base there. And with social media, you can talk to that group. You don't need to go through television and the mass media. You can talk directly to those people. And they see they love him. And so he has a base of support that's not visible to the establishment. And look at three other examples: Donald Trump, Bolsonaro, and Brexit. I worked for Brexit and I worked with Trump, but I ran the Brexit effort. And that was all a situation where the establishment said they can't win because the voters they had were hidden. Nobody saw them. They were working people. They were in the Midwest and nobody paid attention. They were low-income people, but they rose up and they won those elections. And I think that he has that kind of a base among young people. The second thing is the PASO, because The PASO is basically a poll everybody will believe. It's a survey everybody will believe. If a newspaper runs a poll and says Christina's here and Macri's there and all of that, people believe it a little bit out of one eye. They have all sorts of reasons not to believe it, and it's not that important. But if everybody goes to the polls and votes and participates in that poll, the results are very important as an indication of how people think. And I believe that because of social media, José Luis will finish above Lavagna, and Kirchner will finish ahead of Macri by maybe 7, maybe 10 points. And I think that if that happens, people are going to say, oh my God, Macri can't beat Kirchner, but maybe José Luis can, because he came out of nowhere. He passed Lavagna, who's been on public life for 20 years, 30 years, and he really shows strength. And the voters that are now for Macri, not because they like him, but because they don't like Cristina, will tilt to José Luis. Remember this, 2/3 of the people who are voting for Macri do not like him. You say, do you have a favorable or an unfavorable view of Macri? And 65% of the people who vote for him say unfavorable. So that means there's real instability. There's a real ability to steal his vote. All you need to do is to show them that there is somebody else that can defeat Kirchner.
Many people say that José Luis Espert could be the key strategy for the Kirchners to return to power.
Well, that's what they think now. But when the results of the PASO come in, they'll have a whole other opinion, because they'll see how strong he is. Right now, they treat him as a minor fringe candidate.
How much will be PASO's results by José Luis?
Well, I can't predict the numbers, but I think he will finish ahead of Lavagna, and that's the key thing.
More than 10%?
More than what?
More than 10%
of the vote for him?
In the PASO?
Yeah, probably. Probably, but the important thing is not so much the amount, but that he's the alternative.
And if you would now, I know that this is a stupid question, but if you would now again advise Mr. Macri, what would you tell him now in the midst of the election?
To go back over the last 3 years and have been a better president. He could have been very popular. He had everything going for him, but he screwed it up. He was a terrible president. And everybody believes that Macri is incompetent and Kirchner is corrupt. And they're both right.
And if José Luis becomes, at the end of the day, the key for Kirchner to return, as many people calculate that could happen, how would you feel about that?
He won't. He will be the key to himself winning, not to Kirchner returning. And it'll become very clear that that's true after the PASO. Thanks. People are always saying that the other party, like Bolsonaro, is the key to Lula winning or to Lula coming back. And they're always saying that. And it's a photograph that at one point may be accurate. But as we're talking, it's changing. The campaign is evolving, and you wait till you see the results in the PASO. Because the important thing is the PASO is just a popularity contest. You can vote for anybody, and nobody gets eliminated. So if you are a typical voter, you're sitting there saying, I hate Kirchner, and I don't like Macri, and I like José Luis Espert. But I don't want to vote for José Luis because I'm worried that he'll take votes from Macri and elect Kirchner.
Yeah.
So we say to that voter, relax. In the PASO, you can vote for whoever you want. If you want to tell Macri he's been a lousy president and you want to send him a message that he better clean up and do right, you can vote for Jose Luis. And if Jose Luis after the paso, you can switch back and vote for Macri because he's the opponent to Kirchner. This is your chance to tell people what you think of Macri, what you think of his presidency, and to maybe have a really good president in Jose Luis.
Have you made your own surveys on
Yes.
the Argentine voters?
Yes.
These days?
Yes, and this will work. You'll see.
Interesting.
Good.
Dick, very, very
Thank you.
very
Very good to see you. Thank you.